Okay, yes, hello America, and yet again, seems to be something else going on that is rather patronizing, I think is the word that you're using and wondering about, and you kind of have to look at the essence of that word, P-A. You can see that that language in patriarchy, parenting, and the reasonableness in which people treat each other, and who is who, or who people think the other is by how they choose to explain and or bring attention to a rather conflict of interest. So America, you are in the hands of a salesman who is trying to win greatest human ever. And in that is this predictable aspect of self and or of personality. And within the confines of my research and I would say common sense, it would seem to me that when a adult requires something of another adult that is akin to respect, in sacrifice of the greater good, of which is tied to the individual greater good, but also the greater good of all. At least that is the presumption. The altruistic logic that parents will use on children because they don't know how the real world works. So how can we know if the real world is the real world when we have an implicit system that reminds us of what the world isn't and what it is? If we can know the source of our implicit wisdom, if we can come to know our system's character and characters, and the archetypal marriage between aspects of self and even the big five personalities in psychology. When personality gives way to a higher purpose, a higher cause, there is the sacrificial aspect of self. The self-sacrifice is an obligation, a duty to a truth that has been earned. Whether or not they believe the others see it and or respect it and understand it within the confines of human history and the course and development of nations as personalities, as people. And in offering our goods and resources to the common collective, whether that be from the individual or from the individual nation, of its resources and natural resources, and people being the key aspect of self that finds its way into being. When we're asking for information or feedback on a situation, or even a definition or a term, the lived meaning of that term is subjective to the observer. If we can know who the observer is, and then we can know who's speaking. And if we can know who's speaking, we can know who's friend or foe. We can know what is true and what isn't. And we can know that the ultimate reality that we all face is that life is both permanent and impermanent. And the cause and effect of that in our lives means that receiving or asking for support isn't the same as accepting it, or accepting the answer or the meaning of the words being spoken and chosen. The relating of the words to the mind that's receiving it, whether or not it is accepting it or not. So in patronizing anybody, America, if you feel patronized, psychologically, maybe it's about you. This is the wisdom that has come down from people who have put the effort into digging into their truths and digging into their reality. Digging into who they are and peeling back the layers of themselves. And when we find what we're looking for, it doesn't mean that there isn't more to find, it just means that acceptance has been reached. And then strategy can be implemented. And whether or not America patronizing another is a strategy, is a aspect of nature that comes through when truth needs to be honored or recognized. Significant truths are always happening, just whether or not you're aware of it or not. In America, it seems as though you're aware enough to understand the implications and the implicit message of patronizing others. whether or not, America, you want to keep doing it. And to what end? And psychology would look at the developmental relationship age of where those behaviors are seen to understand what we're dealing with. What we're dealing with, America, is ourselves. Always. We are not separate, even though we feel we are. We are not other, even though that's how we see it. What we do unto ourselves, we do unto others, and what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. This is the great wisdom that you are seeking, America. Keep reaching out.